Hello, Robert Spector. Welcome to the DoingCXRight show.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I am happy to get to know you. And ironically, you used to live near me, but now you're very far. So I'm meeting you from a distance, but yet it could have been different. So I've learned a lot about you. I want my audience to know, who are you, Robert? What do you do professionally?
Well, I am an author and a speaker, and I've been at that for a long time. I've written over 30 books. Those are working with New York publishers, as well as I've written a lot of corporate histories for companies like Kimberly-Clark and Eddie Bauer and Pizza Hut. And I'm best known for writing a series of books on Nordstrom called The Nordstrom Way, and I know we will get into that. I also did the first book on Amazon, which came out 25 years ago, called Amazon.com Get Big Fast. And it explains who Jeff Bezos was and how he got to be this guy. But that book came out so long ago that I had to explain what the internet was and the origins of the internet.
You know, oh boy, we have more to talk about than this, because I did my thesis in my MBA class about what is the internet. So, we could have so much fun. That's another day, another episode.
That's right. Yeah, we can get into the minutia. Yeah.
Yes. So, Robert, what's a fun fact that people might not know about you?
Let's see. Well, I am the first member of my class to be inducted into the Perth Amboy High School Hall of Fame. And I was at one time a ghostwriter for Dr. Joyce Brothers. People might remember that. I've written game shows. I did a show back in the 70s called Money Maze. Check it out on YouTube. The host of the Money Maze was Nick Clooney, George Clooney's father.
Ooh, that is a fun fact.
That is a fun fact, isn't it?
Absolutely. So, all right, this is the Doing Customer Experience Right show. So let me start there. When I say those words, and some people think customer service, customer experience, which are not the same. However, what is your perspective? What does that mean to you?
It means that if you're in a retail store, that the customer leaves the store holding a package because they've just made a purchase, and they want to come back and do it again. And it's establishing a relationship with the customer and making it a we experience, not a me experience.
Now, we know that digital is very prevalent. So how do you frame it in that context of where you can't hold it right away?
Well, it's getting the customer what the customer wants when they want it, and creating a good experience. As I mentioned, I've written a lot of books on Nordstrom. Nordstrom, although people might think of them as just a brick and mortar business, they are very deeply into the digital experience, and they're trying. Their goal is to make the digital experience as inviting as the brick and mortar experience. Customer service is the same thing to me, whether it's digital or analog. It's creating a happy customer, creating a great experience, and the customer wanting to let's do it again sometime.
Yeah. Well, and to clarify the statement I said earlier about customer service and customer experience are different, I think it's important for people to understand that customer experience is really that omni-channel experience that we just spoke about in store and online, versus customer service is really that point of getting help in the journey.
Right. I did a book many years ago called Anytime, Anywhere, which was then about what we called multi-channel. Now it's omni-channel. So the idea is to take that experience and replicate it to the customer. So customer service is part of the customer experience. But If we're talking digital, it's having an easy-to-use website, easy to navigate, easy to put stuff in your cart, easy to check out. It's all about convenience and making the experience easy. At Nordstrom, they have a convenience department. They bring in customers to talk about the experience and how they can improve the experience. It could be something as mundane as a return, or finding a tailor at the last minute because you're having a big event and whatever you're wearing is not fitting quite right. Again, this whole thing is very simple. It's the execution that's the hard part. As I like to say, everyone, when it comes to customer service, everyone knows the words. They just can't carry the tune.
Yes. Well, let's start with the problem before we start solutioning. So you've studied Nordstrom extensively. What do you believe are the toughest challenges in Nordstrom's history that led the company to prioritize customer experience? And what obstacles did they face that you think other businesses could learn from?
Well, Nordstrom has been around since 1901. And Seattle which is where Nordstrom was founded, Seattle back then was, a pretty small market. And you have to create a great experience because they're selling a commodity. They're selling shoes. There's a lot of companies that sell shoes. So it isn't like we have this rare product that it's tough to get. So in order to differentiate you, so if you and I are selling the same product at essentially the same price, what else is left to differentiate you from me? And it's the way that each of us treat our customers and make sure, again, it's a pleasant experience and people want to do it again. So Nordstrom, to give that example, they would carry shoes in a wide range of sizes. And in half sizes. So whatever you need and whatever the size of your foot, we will have that product for you. And one other thing at Nordstrom, if your right foot is more than 1.5 sizes different than your left foot, they will break up the pair of shoes. Let's say you have a 10 and an 8.5. So one right 10, one left 8.5, and they will sell you that and charge you the regular price.
That's gold. I've not heard people do that to really personalize it in that way. That makes so much sense, yet many don't do that.
Right.
I had heard, and I don't know if this is a true story or not, but I heard in the beginning days that they actually took a customer brought in a tire to the shoe store.
Well, yeah, that is in the 30 years that I've been giving keynote speeches, that is the number one question: is the tire story true? The number two question is, do you get a discount when you shop at Nordstrom? Unfortunately, I don't, but that's a whole other story. So yes, the tire story. This is the quintessential Nordstrom story, and it is a true story. But there is some logic behind it. Somebody didn't walk into the Nordstrom store on 57th Street with a tire and say, "Hey, give me some money back." So just briefly, Nordstrom in the early 70s bought 3 stores in Alaska, and they were from a company called Northern Commercial, which sold a lot of different product lines, kind of like a Sears. So Nordstrom bought the stores, eliminated lots of departments, including the tire department. Then one day, this man, again, we're talking about Alaska. He came in from the tundra. He hadn't been in town in a while, and he had these tires that he had bought in that building, just not from that company. And the Nordstrom salesperson called up the local tire store and found how much of these tires worth. Found out, and they gave that customer his money back because he had bought it in that building. So they took one of the tires and hung it up back in the storeroom as a totem, as a symbol of what customer service is all about. Now, I recommend for those who are more curious about this story, Pete Nordstrom, who runs the company with his brother, now has a podcast called the Nordy Pod, and on one of the episodes is "The Tire Story is True." and they found the person who took back the tire. So now, one other addendum to that, fast forward to a couple of years ago, a customer in Southern California had ordered something from Nordstrom. She had ordered a baby blanket. Somehow, don't ask me how, a third-party delivery service brought her a tire, an automobile tire. So she called up Nordstrom, said, bring it in. And so she comes into the store with the tire, and now everybody at Nordstrom knows this story. So one of the salespeople said, oh my God, it's another tire story, 50 years later. So now in the Nordstrom store in Manhattan, there is not a tire, a sculpture of a tire hanging up in the store with Nordstrom was founded in 1901, so it has 1901 on there. And all cultures need symbols, they need totems to help perpetuate the culture, and the tire story is Nordstrom's.
Mm. So what did they do besides taking back a tire that's not really theirs? But you talked about there's culture involved. And how did Nordstrom actually create a culture that is so strong and customer centric? I mean, they have operational challenges and profitability just like every other company, but what makes them different? What are they doing?
They do a couple of things, but the most important thing is that they empower. Now, if there's an overused word more than a customer service, it's empowerment. They empower people on the front lines to take care of the customer. And we stay with the brick and mortar. So all Nordstrom salespeople are on commission. They're salaried employees. They earn a wage, but where they really make their money is on commission. And people can make several $100,000 a year selling shoes, Chanel handbags, whatever. So you are empowered to create your own clientele and to do whatever it takes to take care of that customer. Now, it's not just a brick and mortar thing. One of the people who I interviewed for my new book on Nordstrom, The Century-Old Startup, does most of his selling on Instagram. And he sells shoes, and he has his own Instagram channel. And I got the pair of shoes, and I'm going to take the tissue out, and I'm going to romance this merchandise. Look at this lovely pair of shoes. This is the price, and I can get it to you, tomorrow. So that person sells over $2 million a year on Instagram because people, he sends it out, and then the customer says, I bought these shoes from this guy. So it's a self-perpetuating networking and giving people the opportunity to find out what all these people are doing. I got this from this guy, and I'm proud of this pair of shoes that I have. And one thing leads to another on social media. So, but again, it's really simple, Stacy. Again, the execution is the hard part. Now, I should add that I grew up in retail. My parents had a butcher shop in a outdoor farmers market in Perth Amboy, New Jersey. Typical immigrant family business. My grandfather, my father, my uncle, my cousins, my sisters, and me. We all worked there. So this is ground zero. You got to take care of that customer. We didn't have a huge customer base, but over the course of 40 years, 18 family members either directly or indirectly benefited from that store. So you know that you got to take care of that customer, number one.
Mm. Well, two things. One, when you told the story about how the guy's using Instagram and he's doing so well, you're highlighting also an important aspect of the times, which is influencer marketing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. So in a way, do other brands turn their employees into influencer marketers or brand advocates? Is that something to do?
If they believe in that, in those employees, and if they believe in their mission, then why not? In this digital world, we are still looking for a human connection. And when you have that, you're not necessarily going to ever be in the same room with that person, but you feel a connection. I mean, you and I are talking now, and we're establishing a connection, but we're 3,000 miles apart.
Yeah.
So it's finding that sweet space where you can make that human connection. Nordstrom, during COVID, the internet accounted for about 60% of sales. It's gone down now that, with stores opening and such, but that is as much a tool as a brick and mortar store. So the whole idea is to complement both brick and mortar and digital, because
Mhm.
people, even younger people, still like a physical in-store experience.
Yes, giving people choice is so
Yeah.
important. But just to close out that influencer marketing,
Hmm.
I believe in my keynote speech, I talk about how you can really become a brand that customers love and your employees champion.
Right.
And that's a great example of
Hmm.
give them the liberty to boast about you. Let them be your walking, talking billboard.
Absolutely. Well, there's the salesperson who does so much business on the Instagram. His customers feel that he's a part of their lives,
Yeah. Yes.
and everybody's happy. Hopefully.
Yes. So companies measure customer experience and service in so many different ways. What has your research shown? What is Nordstrom doing to gauge that they're doing CX right?
Well, as several people at Nordstrom said to me, the bottom line is really the best barometer for how they are doing, how customer service are doing. Are sales up or are sales down? And if sales are down, why? And if sales are up, why? And it's never being satisfied that, oh, we really have this customer service thing down, we can kind of slide. No, you got to do it literally every day. Every purchase, every transaction, every interaction with a customer has to be built around creating a great experience. Nordstrom, their main goals are to create customers who feel good and look good. So you make them
Mhm.
feel good about the experience, and they look good from the purchases that they've made.
Now, you said a word, feel good, and
Hmm.
I believe in that. But so many companies tell me, Stacy, customer experience, it's a cost. We can't measure feelings. I know what I say to them, but what's your perspective on feeling when they're so money bottom line focused?
Yeah, well, it goes back to the fact that what Nordstrom and the Nordstroms will say this. What we are selling, you can buy a lot of different companies at
Mhm.
maybe even a better price. So we have to find a way to differentiate, and they do customer service. And now one of the many interesting things about Nordstrom, because I've been writing about them for more than 30 years, is that they don't believe their hype. They don't believe the hoopla, because they're only as good as the next transaction. I mean, as I tell people, Nordstrom is not the perfect company. The perfect company is yet to be created. And as one Nordstrom executive said to me, it's not that we're so good, it's that everybody else is so bad and we look better by comparison.
I like that.
Which is true, because in the course of my talks, I have people tell me they're good Nordstrom stories and they're bad Nordstrom stories.
Mhm.
But the thing,
Mhm.
when there's a bad story, the Nordstroms want to know, and they want to make it right, because customers can be very forgiving if you respect them, if you hear what they're saying, and you try to make it right. Where you lose is that if you get a customer complaint and you don't do anything about it. That's saying, I don't respect you.
Yeah.
So, I'll just wait for the next customer to come along. And this kind of commitment to customer service has to be a top to bottom, bottom to top commitment. everybody has to be on board. If it's just, well, you frontline people, you take care of the customer. We have more important things to work out. I mean, I've done stuff. In my keynotes, I'll do a 45 one or an hour keynote, and then we'll take a break. We'll do a breakout session, and we'll brainstorm on the principles that I talked about. Now, if and I have people, let's say there are eight principles. People count up 1 through 8. The ones go to this table, the 2s go to that, etc. Now, if everybody, including the C-suite, the people in the suits, are another tuchus at the table, that's powerful. But I've seen it where just the frontline people are part of this, and the executives are, if they're there, they're talking among themselves, they're checking the phone, and then the people who are doing this, they look over there and say, well, this is a waste of time because they haven't bought into it. You have to have everybody buy into it.
Yes, everyone has to buy into it. I agree. And when I do journey mapping exercises, you have to have every single role at the table or it does not work.
Right.
So I love your point.
Thank you. I once did it was going to be an all-day program for a hospital, just the purchasing department. So people came in on a Saturday on their day off, and they had this big amphitheater, and there's probably about 100 people there, and they're going to be taking part in all this. So the head of the department starts the program and outlining it. Oh, we got a great program today. We've got Robert Spector. He's going to talk about Nordstrom. Blah blah blah. It's going to be a great day for you guys. Unfortunately, I can't stay because I'm remodeling my kitchen. So have a great time. We'll see you later. I mean, you can imagine how that room felt. Remodeling your kitchen, or either don't do it or come up with a better excuse than that. My whatever.
Yes.
That's what makes the Nordstroms Nordstrom, because everybody. Well, first of all, everybody has started out on the sales floor, including especially people named Nordstrom, so they know what selling is like. Selling is tough if you're going to do it right. And so they know how it is, and they are not afraid to virtually get their hands dirty. When taking care of business, so that sets the example.
Yeah, it does set the example. And you're reminding me, as you said, get your hands dirty. As I worked for an elevator company, and I'd go out with technicians who were fixing elevators, and I'd wear that hard hat and dig into it with them, not at the same level as them, but I rode along and I got to walk in their shoes. And I think that is just so important for listeners. The future. We're at rapid fire ending here questions. So let me ask you a few last remaining. The future predictions that you have with AI and emerging technology, what can companies do now to prepare?
Well, they obviously have to realize that AI it's not only the future, it's the present. Mm-hmm. And so where does AI fit into their culture? This is a tool that they're going to use, and you need to make it as customer friendly as possible. But also put in that human element. I've been using AI a lot more, as a whole lot of people. AI is only as good as the instructions you give it.
Yeah.
And so you have to make sure that AI carries your culture with you. AI should be incorporated into your culture and into the way that you take care of your customers, so it remains a seamless experience.
Yes, absolutely. And training comes into play. And we could do an hour just on this topic. But with the final minutes remaining, what's the one takeaway you want people to remember, listeners, to go do?
Well, other than buy my book, The Century-Old Startup,
yes.
I think that realize that everybody at one point of the day or another is a customer. And so it's no more complicated than the golden rule. How would I want to be treated if I was your customer? And so there shouldn't be any miscommunication or misunderstanding of why we are having this transaction. We're there to build a relationship, not just to have a transaction, not just to exchange money for goods and services, but to establish a relationship.
Absolutely. And final question about you, younger you, Robert. Advice that you'd give to your younger 20-year-old self if you could go back in time and talk to younger you.
Well, I would say, don't worry, it's all going to work out.
It is going to work out. It's so hard to believe that when you're in the middle of something, but it's true. And may all 20-year-olds be listening to this. It's going to be really good. Just go with it.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I will have your book and your website and all the ways to reach you in the show notes. And I appreciate all that you're doing to help the movement of doing customer experience the right way and all these great examples. It matters. So thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. I appreciate it.